Hello everyone, my name is Justin Gagnon. I'm an artist who has been studying African art and culture for many years, and because of that interest in Africa, one of my most anticipated movies that's going to be coming out soon is the Black Panther. And a trailer just recently came out for it, so I'm going to be analyzing all the little details that I could find that are references to African culture. Alright, let's get this trailer started. Alright, the start of this trailer, not a whole lot to point out, but there's a little bit at the start that I can. Starting with this waterfall here, I believe that is a reference to the Victoria Falls that borders Zambia and Zimbabwe. Now, he's about to talk about, fuck it, don't worry about that shit right now. Right now, I want you to focus on the fact that all these people are wearing these very West African clothes. I know that's a broad statement, but I ain't gonna analyze clothes all goddamn day. Now, what I was about to say a second ago was, he's talking about motherfucking El Dorado. That shit's a South American thing. Don't worry about that shit. It's fascinating stuff, but today we're here to focus on Africa, okay? Not South America. I love that reddish-orangey dirt of Africa, because we don't get that in my neck of the woods. Anyway, moving on. Come on, let's go. Alright, here's where we really get in depth in this fucking analysis, alright? So, right in the center of that city is a building that is designed to look like, I mean, it pretty much is the same motherfucking building. University of Timbuktu. You can see that shit right in the center of the video. All they really did was add a couple of lights to make it sci-fi. That university is one of the oldest fucking universities on Earth. Not the oldest, but one of the oldest. And, you know, students could learn math and all sorts of other important academic shit there. The books there, a lot of them still exist, and they're actually trying to record that shit on the internet to preserve all that ancient knowledge. Alright, moving on. Oh, and Timbuktu is in Mali, by the way. Okay, right here we got some face paint. Now that could be referencing a number of things. Maybe it's the Nuba from Sudan, South Sudan. Maybe it's Surma from Ethiopia. Could be a combination of the two. Could be a combination of just a number of peoples in the area that do facial and body paint. But yeah, I'm gonna just, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with Surma. Alright, moving on again. That mask is total Hollywood bullshit. That shit don't look like a real African mask. But I know you could argue that because it's a villain, they didn't want to design it to look like any particular mask. But I still wish it looked a little more African. And I'm not digging the devil horn shit. There are African masks that have horns, don't get me wrong, but not quite like that. Maybe this mask design will grow on me, but I'm not a huge fan of it at the moment. But alright, let's continue. Okay, so right here we have a scene where Ulysses S. Claw is in a museum, and those masks are a bit blurry because they're in the background, but my gut reaction was that they were Chokwe masks, so that's what I'm gonna go with. So specifically, the one on the left, I believe, is a Pwo mask. More specifically, a Mwana Pwo mask, and the one on the right would be a Chihongo mask, one that does not have the more iconic beard-like shape at the bottom. So the Chihongo and Pwo mask would have been used by Chokwe royalty to get money from their subjects as a means of their allowing for their continual royal protection for the people. They would want to basically tax collect. That's pretty much what it was. The king no longer uses these masks because the king doesn't have as much power in Angola anymore. So basically the Chihongo and Pwo masks are used as entertainment masks nowadays. That's pretty much all they're really used for now. And the Pwo, and both the Chihongo and the Pwo masks were meant to represent elderly people, but over the years, because tastes have changed, and the Mwana Pwo, which is more common now, is meant to look more like a younger woman. And I should also mention that the Chihongo masks, as you can see some holes at the top of that, there would be a headdress up there, and you know, some other attachments. You can see like a raffia on this one, which you can see in the video. There is some raffia hanging down from the mask. Alright, so let's move on to the next part of the video. Okay, so this is the beautiful Ndebele architecture of South Africa, as you can see right there in the image, and the women of the household would create all this paint for their houses. It's very beautiful stuff, and nowadays they would even incorporate things from the modern world, like cars and planes. Just kind of interesting to see how those more older customs would change over time. And the Ndebele actually took some of this this idea of painting the houses. They actually got from the Lesotho people, because they were sort of forced to move from their normal South African homeland closer to where the Lesotho are, because of the unfortunate invasions of the Europeans and all that. But one interesting thing that came about because of that was the kind of painting that you see here. Alright, so moving on. Alright, so you see this guy right here. This guy is wearing what is known as a lip plate. Now, usually, lip plates are only worn by women, as you can see with this Mursi example, and as you can see with this Surma example. And yes, that's the same Surma that we talked about before with the body and face paint. So yeah, in the Black Panther trailer, you're seeing a man wear a lip plate. That is a bit unusual. As far as I know, in Africa, it's only women that wear lip plates. It's seen as attractive, and maybe it doesn't look attractive to you, but that's because you're born in the West and you're accustomed to Western sensibilities. If you were born in this part of the world and you're growing up around a bunch of women wearing these lip plates, I guarantee that you would also find this attractive. You know, a lot of things in Africa, it's sort of like an acquired taste, because when we grow up in the Western world, we're not exposed to this shit. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these lip plates. Now, again, this is a man wearing it in the trailer here, so that might be a fictional thing on the Black Panther side, but that's fine. I mean, I have no issue with them doing that. It's just their creative decision to give a man a lip plate. They also sci-fi'd it up a bit with the greenish coloring. But the closest, if you're wondering though, the closest thing I could find to a man wearing a lip plate is the Turkana men of Kenya. But that, as you can see, is not really a lip plate, that's a lip plug. Bit different. Definitely does not transform your mouth nearly as much as those lip plates. Alright. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, so here we see some Nsibidi script on the walls, or pillars I should say, of T'Challa's throne room. T'Challa, if you don't know, that's Black Panther's real name. So on his throne room we see some Nigerian Nsibidi, and if you're wondering, yes, I can translate all of those symbols, but for now I'm just going to point out the one at the bottom, which is the symbol for country. Reason why I'm not going to translate them all now is because I'm thinking of doing another video where we analyze the poster and some other concept art and other things that could be worth looking at in another poster. For example, I saw some concept art for Black Panther that added Dinkra symbols, which are fucking awesome. Those are from Ghana. I love those things. So in that video I'll go in more in depth about this stuff. So let's move on. Okay, so right now you're seeing this guy holding these short spears. These short spears are known as Asagai, and that comes from the Zulu. In the Zulu, it's worth noting, are related to the Ndebele that I was talking about before. Now, as you can see, yeah, it's the same basic concept. It's a spear, but it's much shorter, and these were very good close quarter combat weapons that the Zulu used very effectively when fighting off their enemies, including the British that came to South Africa. Alrighty, let's move on. Now you're also seeing these warrior women. These warrior women that you've seen all throughout the trailer are more than likely inspired by the Dahomey Amazons. That's right, I said motherfucking Amazons. Amazon warrior women. Not the fake ones from Greece, but real ones. Now, Amazons is what the Europeans called them, but they're actually known as the Ahosi, and they were the defenders of the Dahomey king. The Dahomey, by the way, is in the country of Benin, but should not be confused for the kingdom and people of Benin, which are in Nigeria. Now that sounds a little confusing, but it's just how it is. But yeah, these women would fuck your ass up, even that little tiny one. That little girl, she might be in training, but she'd beat your ass. Alright. Let's move on to the last thing we have to mention. Oh, actually before that. Alright, so you notice some girl holding those ring-like weapons. Those are called chakrams. That's from India. Well, that's not African. But I guess they thought it'd look cool, so they threw that shit in there. And this girl in particular has Samus Aran's arm cannons. I hope that shit shows up in Metroid Prime 4. In fact, I hope this girl shows up in Metroid Prime 4. Maybe she's Samus's apprentice or some shit like that, right? Alright, enough with the jokes though. The actual last thing I want to mention is right here. Okay, so this motherfucker right here, he's holding a knobkerrie. I forget this villain's name. But anyway, this guy is holding a knobkerrie, and that would be from South Africa. And I was actually reading a book about South Africa a few months ago, which is came pretty handy. So yeah, these things would not only be a weapon, but they'd also just be a walking stick, and they'd also be a status symbol. But also, more importantly, they had like a sacredness to them too, which being passed down from father to son, and they could even be used to invite the spirit of a loved one into the staff after they'd passed on. So interesting shit there. Alright, so that's pretty much the gist of it, folks. I hope you enjoyed what I had to tell you today about all the African references. And now we'll end with this badass backflip. Fan-fucking-tastic. Alrighty, folks. That'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. My name's Justin Gagnon. I hope you subscribe, because we're going to be doing a whole bunch of other shit on this channel, dealing with Africa, going way more in depth than we went with this video. Yeah, that's about it, folks.